For f of x equals square root of 2x minus 1, find the simplified form of the difference quotient. Let me write down the formula for the difference quotient. That is f of x plus h minus f of x all divided by h. So I'm going to figure out this first piece, f of x plus h. It's going to be a long fraction, right? So I will put h in the bottom. And let me get started on with this orange piece first. So basically, we're plugging in x plus h into x. So that's going to be square root of 2 times x plus h minus 1. Okay? Minus, now I'm going to subtract f of x from it. And f of x is simply square root of 2x minus 1. So how do we simplify this, right? You will multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of this numerator. I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? We make this a little bit smaller. Multiply both the top and the bottom of this fraction by this. Square root of 2 times x plus h minus 1 plus square root of 2x minus 1. You've seen this before, right? It's the same as this numerator, but the only difference is we change the sign minus to positive. Okay, so that's what you're going to have to multiply to, not just the top though, but also to the bottom of the fraction. Okay, because this is what's going to happen. Let me remind you of this cool pattern that you learned in algebra class. What happens if you do a minus b times a plus b? Let's FOIL it out to see what happened to our a's and b's. If you do a times a, you get a squared. If you do a times positive b, that's plus ab. If you do negative b times positive a, that's going to be negative ab, ba, but we can switch the order of multiplication, right? And lastly, negative b times positive b is negative b squared. So notice that these middle terms right here, positive ab and negative ab, they cancel out. So the only thing left is a squared minus b squared. So that's what we are doing here, okay? I am multiplying a minus b times a plus b, where a is the orange, miss, and b is this green square root, okay? So when you multiply the top, all right, hold on, let me actually write it down. Think of this as your a minus b, and think of the second as a plus b. So when you multiply the numerator, we don't really have to FOIL this out. What will happen is, let me draw a long fraction bar. I will square a, right? I will square a because I need to write a squared minus b squared. But what will happen if you square this square root expression? If you square a square root, the thing is inside will just come out because square root and squaring will cancel out, right? So what comes straight out? 2 times x plus h minus 1. The thing that was underneath the square root just came out, okay? All right, Now I need the minus sign and write down b squared. Well, what was b? B is this green square root. So what I need to do is I need to square this green square root. Well, if you square the square root expression, squaring and square rooting cancels out. So what comes straight out? The 2x minus 1 comes straight out. But notice that I put that 2x minus 1 in a parenthesis. Okay? That's because I need to subtract this green expression. And when you are subtracting, you may need to distribute that negative sign. Okay? Alrighty. Now, let me just write down the bottom of the fraction. The denominator, I'm doing h times this. And I'm really just going to write it down next to each other. I'll write down h, parenthesis. You know what? I'm just going to copy this really. Let me see if I can just duplicate this. Duplicate it down here. All right. Now, let us simplify the numerator a little bit. I will distribute this minus out. So that will be, you know what? Hold on a second. How about, while we are at it, let us distribute this 2 too. Okay? So that's going to be 2x plus 2h. Bring down this minus 1. And what's this going to be? Minus 2x. But here we do negative times negative. That's going to be positive 1. All over this old numerator. All right. Let's see if we can simplify this numerator a little more. I can see that there is positive 2x and there is negative 2x. They are going to cancel out. Also, there is negative 1 and there's positive 1. They're opposites, so they cancel out. So the only thing left on top of the fraction is 2h. And the denominator is still this. Copy this down. But notice that on top of the fraction and in the bottom of the fraction, we both have h. So let's cross out the h this time. H cancels out. And our final answer is 2 over this. Okay? And that is where you can stop. What we will have to do is we will have to plug in 0 into h. When we plug in 0 in here, and that's not part of this problem, but when you plug in 0, the denominator, the whole denominator will not turn into 0. So this is where we get to stop for this problem, okay? So in this problem, we talked about multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by a conjugate. And yeah, that was it.